So today working on the Jeep 4.0. I'm going to be doing intake gasket and throttle body gasket. Currently I got my valves in to replace, and I'm waiting on a valve cover. Doesn't look like it's been done in a while. This gasket doesn't look too old, but I was kind of looking at it and going, I think it's due to be changed. I'm having this symptom with it where I'm having the tea kettle sound with acceleration. Only once in a while. It's not that bad, but I decided to just do it anyway. I was going to do a head gasket, but I'm going to end up doing one later. So first off, we're going to get started here. So first thing I did was a 10mm bolt, a flathead screwdriver, and these clips here for the air intake. Pulled that off, kind of cleaned up my throttle body a little bit. It was looking pretty bad, so I'm going to end up running some throttle body cleaner in there and getting that all tuned up. But take off this, alright. Take off our battery terminal first, okay? So we're going to be using that as a tool tray here, but first things first, we need a pair of interlopers. Okay, first things first, we're going to wiggle this loose, okay? Just going for sensors right now. Just going to kind of walk through it and just do it on film, I guess. So might need some PB blasters on the clips, but I'm going to clean these up before I put them back in here. So you're going to use the push the clip in. I try and ease it out really quick on the edges of the screwdriver, because this thing's been in there for a bit. I don't think they did a gasket on this for a long time. So okay, I got one loose there. Alright, second one loose there. So first thing I do generally is get the throttle loose. I'm going to shoot the bracket here, there, and there, and along with the throttle, and just remove it and flip it up over to the other side. So that's kind of something I do with it. It's just easier than removing all the cables and doing that. So let's get 10 in here. Okay, I'm not going to shoot these all the way out, I don't want to drop them. This engine's hot, so I may give it a second to cool down, but I just got done driving it. Okay, that one is a bracket bolt, so I'm going to kind of teach you guys how I do this. But okay, got that loose. Nice day out. Okay. So now that we have this bracket loose, you can see it'll freely move as long as we have this out. So okay, 10mm bolts for all of them. So for these, we're going to keep those separate. This goes to the air box here, so we're going to slip that in there. Okay, there's one here. Okay. Just be careful with your cables. Okay, third one. That fourth one's in the back, right in there. So best way to get that one is you need a extension. Let's see if we can switch there. Let's switch up to extension 10mm. Yeah, maybe I'll see if we can. Okay, got fourth bolt. Doing it this way, you can pick up your throttle, okay? Pull your cables out of the brackets there. So pick it up, move it over here. I also got a throttle body gasket for it, but you can shift it up over to the front, so you don't really have to take your cables off. You can just leave them attached. So these little red clips, they break really easy, so be careful with them. Okay, got it. So the clip, or when you push this up, you have access to this little tab in there. Use a pick and push it forward, pull up. That's the easiest way to get those injector clips without busting them like this one. So, but we're gonna have to pull a fuel rail here. So we've got the retainer clip. I got a fuel line tool. So that's how we're gonna do it. Sweep socket for that ain't gonna reach. So. Usually I label these, but this is your throttle cable, throttle body bolts. Here, leave it right there for a second. We need fuel line tools, so. Studded nuts go on the last one and the front one. So okay. That last one's stuck in there a bit, so pop those out. These up a little bit, but you can see that those O-rings on the end have seen some better days. So okay. I'm just putting this one back on probably. I might leave it off, I'm not sure. So. The dead bug, isn't that cool? Okay, so now we've exposed our intake bolts here. So a lot of what we're going to be doing here is removing the top ones, of course. But first we're going to make sure our intake is fully disconnected, which means our power steering has to come out, our belt has to come off. So you can see that the injector ports are just... So we're going to be doing a cleanup job on it. The intake looks like it was due. Got a valve cover gasket in the mail. I've already got these in my two valves, so I'm going to be doing those two, be doing a valve cover with it, getting Sarge tuned up. So first things first, man, we're going to probably hit these with some PV Blaster and let them sit. These bolts, they're not hard to get out, but I generally will hit them right in there. They're really not that bad to get out. They can be if they've been in there for a while. They see a lot of heat. So I'm gonna get that one. And there's one in the back, right back there. It's kind of hard to get to, so I'm gonna try and flip the harness. Like so. Pull this so we can take the belt off. Okay. 13 deep on a flex head. Pop this loose, okay. We'll go through here. Do the same thing with this one here, okay. Do the same thing. That bolt. Break it loose a bit, okay. You can hit those with W8040 or PB Blaster if you want to. If the Jeep's old or you got a lot of rust, you live in some weird climates, and yeah, I would. For me, it's just a lot of dirt and grime, so okay. So we got our long bolts for the power steering. We're just going to set them outside the dish. As you can see, these bolts are the exact same size, so you don't really have to worry about mixing them up in spots. Loosen this power steering off the bracket, okay? Just that it's off the bracket, that's all you really need here. Although you're here, you're probably going to use a wrench to get that one in. It saves taking this bracket off, leaves it attached down there. It just works out a lot better. So now that you can move your harness, you see you have free swing on your top bolts here. From here, we're going to unbolt, well, we're going to actually remove some vacuum lines so we don't bust nothing here. So right there, remove this one. This is a kind of a hard line, so be careful with it. And just snake it up back here by the brake booster so you don't have any issues with it. This one on top, that one can be a pain. Don't shred them, don't pull them apart, don't pull the boots off if you're replacing them. So you can use a pick under it, or what I do generally is I will just slightly turn it, okay? That comes off a lot easier. That, don't break that. It slides directly in there. So you're gonna need that. So for that, we're probably gonna swing it up. Be careful not to break the valve back there, okay? Just up and out of the way, so it's facing that way. Okay, so we got that facing this way, this one facing that way. Our throttle body's off. Power steering pump's disconnected. What's next? The fuel line here, okay? It attaches to your intake by this bracket here. This bracket's held on by one bolt here. Okay, got that line out, we're gonna stick it right here. So this is completely loose now. We've loosened it all the way. There's one last line on there, it goes right here. Tug it back there. We're completely disconnected from there. We don't have anything else left hanging on to this. Top is held in by these, obviously, but the bottoms also hold in the wings to the other ones. You'll kind of see how it skips around, how it goes intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust. That's the middle one for the exhaust. So when you put the gasket back in, you're going to want to put this one in the first. So look at, so when you do it in reverse order, you want to make sure when you put your gasket back on and you put your exhaust back on, just the bolts that are holding the exhaust in place are the ones that go in first. This 14 wrench, wait a minute, pop that loose. Right over here so you can see. Once you get them out with a buddy wrench like that, they're really not too hard to turn. Just getting them out of there. So I'm going to start with this one here. Wiggle that on. I don't know if you guys can see very well, so I'm trying to get Once again, use PB Blaster. WD-40, it's your best friend here. Just to make sure you're not snapping a stud or doing something crazy. So, got this one loose, and it will turn out by wrench, okay? Back ones are where it gets tough, so just slide this one in the back. But there's also a lot more room, so you can get a ratchet back there. Just a heads up, so buddy wrench method. Okay, broke it loose. What I'm going to do from here is I want to try and get my harness loose from this side. That's so I can pull it up and over and kind of get it out of the way a bit. We've got all the bolts out of the head that go from the intake in there. So now we're going back under. I'm actually doing a rear main seal on it here in a few days, so I'll be doing that. The pan sealed up quite well. I haven't had one leak from it. And to do these, by the way, to do the rear main seal on these, you do not have to separate the transmission. They come in half moons. So you spin it around with the insert guide and do it. What we're doing here, to get these bolts off, we have to get this or the airbox out. One thing I've noticed is you have to take out the airbox, but there's this piece down here that you can see. There's a bolt down there. Why Jeep did this, I have no idea. So to get the last airbox bolt out, it's sitting right here. This is the way you do it, okay? You don't wrench it from the top. Come down below. People say take off the fender liner. You don't have to do that. If you pull this out of the way, you can see right there where that sits in there. Use a 14 deep, a 6 to 10 inch extension, and a impact or ratchet. Impact preferably, you can just shoot it right out. Peel it back right here so you can see. Stick your impact gun in there and get it done. Oh, where's my hat, dude? I just lost it. So we can see a little better in here. When it comes to those bolts, we have more room to move. So if we look in here, we can see a bolt right there. Right in here, okay. In here to see how I can get these bolts. What's up, y'all? Working into the evening here, so the way I got these two last bolts out of the intake and exhaust to get the manifold off, I used a 1/2 inch set for the front two. These back ones use a 3/8 and use a, I think it's a 6 inch and a 3 inch or 2 inch, and I was able to reach them in here, so I don't know if I can see much right now. You can get ratchet in from the side. Swivel head. I think you can see in here. But it's a long swivel head, 2 extensions, and a short socket. You can use a long, deep socket if you need to. I'm starting to get this loose, so Okay, so if you can see in there, 3/8 extension. Use a long swivel ratchet, get your swing on it, like that. So we're gonna pick this up over here, see if we can take off this intake really quick. So let's get everything out of the way. See if we can launch it up. Okay. There we go. Intake's out. Okay. So now you can see I have to really get in there for that one. So that one is not fun. Intake ports are just shit right now. So we're gonna kind of hang our harness down for a bit. So it's easier. And you can see this needs some cleanup, major cleanup. So we're gonna be doing some work in here. So last intake bolt, you remove this one and the one on the very end, which is back there. I think you can see that one right there. Those are the last two to get the exhaust off here. Once you have it loose, you can pull it back. Some people shoot the exhaust here at the downpipes and do it. So you can kind of do it either way. We're going to remove this out of the harness here. So you can see our valves aren't that bad. They don't look that bad at all in there. So a little bit of crap in there. I'll probably clean out some of these valves the best I can, but most of these don't look bad. You got one of them in there, it looks like it needs to be cleaned up pretty good. So we'll do a little cleanup, but these are the studs, the new gasket too. So this gasket, it's not that old. It was whistling from somewhere, and actually when I started tearing this apart, I actually realized it might have been my power steering pump that was whistling. But I just got the Jeep, so I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of maintenance on it. So I'm probably going to work into the dark now. So so we've got top. So when you do your reinstall, okay, on this you're going to put this one in first, and the end one in first. And the reason you do that is so you can bolt up your exhaust manifold, and the other bolts that go in here press your intake and your exhaust together. So these are the corners, 2 bottoms, 1 top. So that's basically how it goes. So we're gonna get this undone here. And looking around in here, we're gonna take our last bolts out. Use a 15 wrench. After you break it loose of the buddy on the other side of this AC line like this, you have room to swing it towards the fan. So you'll do it this way. All right. Okay. It's really hard to spin this one. So you kind of have to do this at a weird angle with your elbow, kind of like this. Just make sure it's on there, okay? This one's not easy. It's the back one. Just use a long 3/8 ratchet and a deep 15. But you're in between the fuel line and the exhaust manifold. That's how you sneak it out of there. Voila, the last nut. Mind you, I took a big break today. I needed some coffee, dude. I was falling asleep. Just, okay, see. Mind you, I'm going to be doing a valve cover on this here Sunday, so I'll be doing a video on that, but right now I'm just kind of cleaning up a bit here. Okay, get that pierce off of there. You hammer your screwdriver in there, see how it flows. You can pull this gasket off. pull the exhaust back. Like so, okay. Okay, exhaust is backing off, so now we're gonna pop our gasket off of here. Off the studs. Oh, come on, baby. Okay, there's one side. We gotta get the back, so we need to free that harness up, man. It's the only thing that's freeing us up on this side. So I don't like it, man. I don't like it. Okay. Yeah, you can see where it's splitting bad. This thing's old, so. Okay. Now our exhaust off and hanging there. So we're gonna start doing the cleanup job, alright? Start with surface cleanup here. Using a wider brush. Okay. So got some brake parts cleaner here. Let this sit for just a few, okay? Over our gasket surface here. Set this one there. Okay. So got our new gasket seated on there. And here's how we do it first, okay? One of these is our main nut in the middle here, okay? So we're going to be putting that one up in there first. Okay. Okay. Side, it's through. Okay, got that one, okay. Goes to the back there. First, we're gonna spin this nut on so we know it's mounted on there. On the inside here. Well, good way to do it. Reverse fan, okay. This one over like so. Let's get a bite on it. Alright, we got a bite. In there. That one's tight. So, one thing I will say is do not over tighten this bolt too much or you will snap the manifold. You'll crack it and you are fucked. Just a heads up, okay? Got that back one in there, that one in there, that one in there. So we're gonna start working on the intake. First things first, we need to go clean out these ports here. These ports are disgusting, so we're at this point tonight. I did not have to take off down pipes. I put PB blaster on them anyway because I thought I was gonna have to remove them, but I didn't. So 1 bolt in, 2 bolts in, 3 bolt in. There's a sequence to it here. So what you're gonna do when you bolt them back up is start from your middle here. 1, 2, go 1, 2, 3, 4. Work your way out. I'm going to post a diagram at the end of the video that is an accurate way to do it in order. And I'm going to get a torque spec here. So we know kind of what torque these go to, but these like to stay in really well. And it's because they take a lot of heat, so they like to expand and cool off. So a lot of these bolts and nuts in here, they hold really well. So don't need to go full bore, just enough that you tighten it up really good with the ratchet. Don't go too far or you'll snap your wings or you'll crack something in here. Don't do that. You want to make sure this is intact. The seal's fine, it's sturdy in there and ain't going nowhere. Got this one down to wrench tight, so pretty good in there. Just brute force. So I'm going to check a torque spec on these and go over them. So I may cut that part out of the video here and just include the torque spec. I just don't want the video to be too long. So here we go. Ports, clean them out really good.
What's up, y'all? It's the next day, so got it running, got the gasket, got everything back together. Runs cherry. I had a few hiccups with it. I'm just going to talk to you guys about it. I told you just put the 2 corner bolts and the center bolt in for the exhaust. Tighten those up first, but don't tighten them all the way. And you want to thread all of the bottom bolts for the intake. Thread all of the bottom bolts in by like 2 or 3 threads, enough where you can get the manifold over it to wiggle it. The reason is getting those bolts in with the exhaust manifold installed, it doesn't work. So I had to tear it apart twice, well 3 times actually, The second time I tore it all the way down and put the bolts in the bottom. The third time it was cockeyed a little bit in there, and I realized that it was because I didn't tighten by the sequence that I had in front of me. So I completely spaced it. It's pissing outside, started raining. I've been working on a Volkswagen at the same time, so it's been kind of crazy. So what I will say is when you do the Jeep intake for the 4.0, you get the manifold out all the way. Thread the exhaust bolts in with the new gasket, but don't tighten them all the way down so you have some wiggle room for the manifold. And the reason is those bottom holes, if you don't have wiggle room to shift up and down, you can't get a bolt in there for the intake. So you want to have all of your bolts on the bottom started. Just a couple threads, set the intake up over it, and you're going to basically maneuver your way in there. One thing I did on my second time my second teardown was I tightened my bottom bolts before I tightened my top ones, so it cockeyed the top of the intake, so it was backfiring, yada yada. I saw it and was like, oh wow, this is stupid. So make sure you tighten them within a sequence. So when you tear it down, you just tear it all apart, get the intake out. You can loosen the bolts down below and not take them all the way out. I figured that out. It's just words of advice for you guys. So you can you take out all the top bolts and you loosen the bottom ones. Don't take them all the way out. And you can wedge the intake up out of there, and your bolts are still sitting in the holes. So if I could have done things different, I would have done it that way. Jeep that I did this on before had a one-piece manifold, and I think it was the 98. It was with one of my really good friends. We did an intake manifold gasket in the freaking snow, and it was hard. It was really hard to get the back bolts in. For this one, it wasn't so hard with a 15mm deep socket and a 3/8 flex head, which I broke. So I'm heading back to Harbor Freight to get a new one. So yeah, how nice. If the hardware shot out on me, and I'm pretty much going back to get another one. I snapped a step size, so I'm going to get another one of those. So back to Harbor Freight today. What else can I tell you about this job, man? I did a lot of cleanup that wasn't really on the video. I don't know how long YouTube allows you to record, so I don't know if I can record like a 3-hour video or not. So I'm trying to keep them to like an hour or so, a little over. This is just for people that are going through this here. You tighten your bolts up. You go from the inner, you do the bottoms for there's 2 bolts that go to the main runner that's right under the first exhaust bolt in the middle. Tighten those 2 up a little bit, and then move to the top center, and then work your way outwards. You can do it multiple ways. You torque them down to about 24-25 foot-pounds, so that's what I ended up torquing them to. I had to do it a certain way where the bottom bolts, some of them I couldn't get a torque wrench on them, and it could just be because I didn't have little tiny extensions. I just didn't have enough room to squeeze it between the fuel line. There were certain things like the frame, I couldn't get it right. So I kind of clicked them into 25 and then took a flex head, and best guess we're at 25, probably 20 to 30 pounds. So went from there, but it starts up, it runs good. If you have backfiring with this, you know that your exhaust is off center, or your intake is off center. Lone Wolf, peace out, yo.